All right, so the rules are as follows, or the way we approach this are as follows. We have a previous day high, we have a previous day low, we mark those, and then we mark OTE, which stands for optimal trade entry within that daily range expansion. So if the previous day closed bullish, we're marking OTE bullish. If the day closed bearish, if the previous day closed bearish, we're marking to OTE bearish. Now, we are also marking fixed range volume profile in the same direction. I don't think it matters what direction you actually mark it in, but we would mark fixed range profile as well, fixed range volume profile as well. Then we're marking the 1 hour PD arrays within OTE. Now, this is what builds context for our entire day. Basically provides context for how we're looking for the daily candle to expand. That gives us clues onto which way the 4-hour candles will expand, and it gives us clues into which direction we're looking for the 5-minute change in state deliveries to occur. Basically, the expansion is going to happen in the opposite direction of the manipulation. The model is as such. We're going to take a Q3 5-minute change in state delivery. We wait for displacement away from that Q3. That would create our manipulation zone. We mark PD arrays and OTE from that expansion as well as within that zone. Once it returns to the zone, we basically take a trade. So before today, we had been, as a part of our entry criteria, we had been requiring that it forms in SBS as well. So in this crude depiction, it would be 1, 2, 3, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 happening somewhere in here. And we couldn't take entries unless it was forming in the form of 2 or 3, as well as meeting a retracement level of 0.5, 0.618, 0.705, or 0.79 combined with the zone. Now, for clarification, Adrian only takes the model when it touches the zone. He doesn't require anything else, but for, stricter rules and for more mechanical approach to it, I added SBS as well as the retracement levels. We decided collectively that we were going to remove SBS as an entry criteria, and instead it's going to remain as data that we're going to test for. So SBS, the reason we decided to remove it is because it was preventing us from taking as many entries as we could. So far, with the way the model was prior to today, or prior to the last session even, is that we have a 79% win rate. If we were to remove SBS, or SBS2 specifically, we would have a 93% win rate. If we removed SBS together, altogether, that doesn't change anything. The win rate would still remain at 79%. So now, the only criteria that we will require is that it's returning to the zone and meeting the retracement levels as well as the zone. Maybe, down the road after 30 more reps, we'll see if requiring discount or premium is too much. Again, Adrian only requires the zone, really. He said that there's a lot of entries that and where price touches the zone and just basically melts or it expands right away. But I like to do things very slowly in regards to adjusting the model. So we are going to start here with just removing SBS, basically. So last time we were all together, we went through all of this price action. Monday the 20th was inauguration as well as Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So all these days we had no trades simply because we were requiring a Q3 manipulation. And that just simply never occurred. I don't recall where we ended on January 22nd, but I remember that we ended that data or that backtest session on January 22nd. So I just started at 2 a.m. assuming that we didn't go through London yet. And we'll kind of just see where that brings us. Although this does look familiar, I don't recall how far into this day we went, but we'll see. So far we have a Q1 manipulation zone here in Asia. Actually, I'm going to bring it to the swing low here instead of that down close candle, just because Yeah, it's only a few points. And the down close candles inside, so I'll just go with that. Sorry, 1 second. My brain is pretty hot today. All right, and then if I recall correctly, we did have this from previous day. Yes, and it met 4 to 4.5 deviations, and this was a Q2 manipulation. So this is the framework that we have so far. Obviously, previous day high and low already drawn on through indicators as well as OTE. We will go ahead and draw our fixed range volume profile as well. Yeah, okay, this looks very familiar. And this line right here, this solid line, this gray line, is point of control. So because we've already taken previous day high, and then we have PM session low residing right above 25% of previous day high, what my general expectation for these types of days where we take previous day high within Asia, or prior to Asia, or just prior to London or New York, what I'm expecting is like a slow trend up pretty much throughout the night, and then London generally will act like it's expanding higher, and then CSD lower to attack Asia low or PM session low, at which a late London reversal will happen, or pre-market reversal will happen, or maybe even 8:30 news reversal will happen. So it'll again start to retrace, pre-market or whatever, and then maybe 8:30 news comes in and sends us even lower, and then 9:30 will be the actual reversal and go higher. Like, again, this is the context of we've taken previous day high overnight, right? So usually midnight is somewhere in here, and then previous day high is somewhere in here, and we just slowly grind up overnight. I don't know if I have midnight anymore. I don't. Okay, let's just put open. And this is generally like what I'm expecting when we have this type of behavior. And then of course, like 25% of previous day high is where we kind of want to see that low form. And this is what I'm expecting for any type of trend day specifically. I'm not demanding that it requires OTE or even EQ of previous day. But at a minimum, it's going to return to some type of discount, and discount of premium is going to be 25%, if that makes sense. Let me know if you guys have any questions there, but this is overall like my idea going into this. This is discretionary for the most part, right? This doesn't apply to the model, except for that I don't know necessarily that we will get an entry all the way down here. Because this is the typical narrative for a day like this, in my opinion. I could be wrong. It could go all the way back. This could be a daily reversal, and we can go all the way back down. So again, here we have Q1, and we have a Q2 here. So this is all framework that we cannot take a trade out of because we're specifically trading Q3, or we're testing Q3. So we need to wait for a Q3 manipulation to occur, preferably. All right, so this is invalidated. This gets flipped. We're continuing to trade higher. And we're now in Q3. It looks like we could have this Q2 here. Hold on, these are all, okay, yeah, I remember this. These are all equal highs. This high is equal to that high. All of these three highs are equal, so this is all one swing here. And this is a... Oh, this is a Q3. We closed this high at the Q3. I'm just gonna verify these highs really quick. Yeah, okay. So CSD here bullish, and midnight being here, we manipulated below it, we traded above it into Asia high, retested midnight, and now we are trading higher. All right, so no retracement here. I'm going to draw out this entire expansion. I'm going to draw OTE on that. Okay, I'm just looking to see if there's any SBS. There is. Alright, so now we have to see if this will CSD lower. No close. Alright, so now we get the close here. Now this is potentially a Q4 manipulation if it starts to trade through. We have displacement up here that did deliver or is holding so far. But I can see by eye that, you know, EQ's all the way up here. Let me just double check. Yeah, so we haven't retraced to EQ at all yet. Now again, context is already bullish, right? Yesterday closed bullish. We're already above previous day high. So if we are considering that this is possibly going to bring us lower, I mean, overall in general, we're always going to take our first profit at 1.5 under the context that we are counter trend. Or sorry, under any context, because 1.5 is our first TP. But in real life, let's say 1.5 is really what your final target should be, because we're trading counter trend knowing that previous day closed bullish. So you don't want to hold shorts for too long. All right, so we didn't return to the zone here. We're now returning to equilibrium here, and we have yet to trade lower. We've only traded higher throughout the night, and this is a Q4 manipulation. So we can't take this trade. Guys, if you guys have questions while I'm going through price, please feel free to stop me. All right, so we are now entering a new 4-hour candle at 6 a.m. 2 a.m. candle expanded upward, right? So this manipulation, like even if we were to use, let me use the first up close candle, we've reached 2.5 standard deviations. If I were to use this immediate up close candle, my opinion differs a little bit on this change of state delivery. I think it would be up here. So we've reached 1.5. Both of those deviations, if this is counter trend, this is where it would end. If this is the actual CSD, this is where we would see a retracement, right? So both of those deviations lead to some type of accumulation or reversal. This to me looks like it's an accumulation to go higher. So we've accumulated price here, we've manipulated the low, and now we are trading back towards the high. We do have another bullish CSD occurring right here. So the only thing left is to really run the high, and we will see if it does that or not. Okay, so we close the high again. So you know, again, continuation higher. Let me remove this guy. Now this, I'm gonna keep this on until we get a new manipulation. So we're in Q1 right now because 6 a.m. just opened. We're waiting for either a new manipulation to occur, or we're waiting to see if this manipulation holds. This one here is a Q4 manipulation. Let me change it to this one for now. And again, this is all context that we can't trade yet for this model, but is providing us context for how price is moving. All right, so see, still grinding up throughout the entire night. Like, this isn't clean expansion by any means on the 5-minute chart. It is a slow grind. Anyone holding trades in here is more or less going through pain, because every single expansion leads to a pullback. All right, so now we are in Q2. I don't know if we have news. Let's double check. I'm just gonna double check this upload as well. Okay, that's done. All right, so we are on Wednesday, so no news. Oops. Again, this is following inauguration. All right, so it's 9 a.m. now. We still have no Q3 to trade from, no Q3 context or framework to trade from. All right, so we have, hold on a second. We have this guy here. This is the high. This does happen during Q3. So all reaccumulation to go higher. We came up to 2.5 deviations here. Had a manipulation lower to trade higher. The low of the quarter is still Q2 though. Or the low of the cycle is still Q2. Which is retracing into a previous Q4. Okay, hold on. Again, Q4. Tough, 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 tough. Alright, so we've traded up, we've exhausted this deviation here. Let me see what this deviation leads to. We've exhausted this one. Let me bring up this one just to be safe. We've exhausted that one too. So we're overextended bullishly. The framework at least. We have yet to retrace to midnight or to London and Asia low. And this is a Q4, okay, well, let's see if it even holds. This is a Q4, okay, it's continuing higher. There's no stopping this train right now. So just reverse this. So every time it's closing higher and creating a bullish CSD, that's providing us a new manipulation. Because it's we have this accumulation happening here. We run these lows and then it's CSDs higher. This is all Q4. Again, we don't have any trades to take from this. Ooh. We trade up to 1, didn't get there. I do want to see if this holds, but in case that it doesn't, I just want to draw this out to see where it lands. Okay. So we want to see if this holds. Again, this is a Q4, so we can't take it. Accumulation. We're now into 3 p.m. of the day, so not really much to expect here after expanding all day. More than likely going to consolidate. Okay, so this did get invalidated, but never returned to this zone here. We're now into the last day. All right, great. So nothing happening here. We can move on to the next day. There we go. All right, so previous day high to previous day low. That's the context. We have fixed range volume profile. And then we also have OTE, again, bullish. I feel like I remember what happens here. All right, so the most recent CSD is this one here. Q1. Yeah, Q1. And then what sent it? This one actually held. This is the one that happened in the beginning of the day. I believe this one's already way exhausted though, of course. Yeah, okay, so this one's way gone. Let's pull up London's manipulation. So this is just to remember where previous days manipulations happened. They were all exhausted though. I'll redraw this one as well. So we are expanding lower at this point. Once noon hit, just expanding lower from there with a reversal. There was no entry here though. This is what I was talking about in regards to how Adrian trades it. When it taps the zone, because he does trade any quarter in real life, when it taps the zone, he just takes it right away. So here is where he would have taken it because he had displacement within the zone here. So even though this doesn't fall within premium. Ooh, it did. Ooh, interesting. I didn't think it did. So right here in this retracement, he would have taken that. He would have taken it here anyway, but once it closed out of the zone and returned to it, he would have taken that trade. And then this right here, this entry right here is technically where I would have taken the trade at the earliest. But the specific test that we're all running, as a reminder, is we're only looking for Q3 manipulations, which is why we haven't taken any trades here, although there have been plenty opportunities. So we just need a Q3. None of these are Q3 still. I believe the longest that we've gone in the test so far without a Q3 manipulation is about 5 days. So just front running this in case we do CSD. No CSD. Ooh, tough. Consolidation. So we've reached 3.5 and we're now consolidating. So we assume that this is going to be an accumulation to distribute lower into 4 to 4.5 deviations. Here's midnight. Trying to... Alright, let's assume this is a tiny manipulation. So this should trade into the low, which again we expect because we're expecting that to be completed at this point. I could be wrong. So Q1, again another one we can't take. Alright, so this is completed. We've reached into 4 deviations. And now we are in EQ of previous day. So this is the way we use this context is that we're looking for some sort of reversal to occur here, right? So the volume wise or fixed range volume profile is not really giving me anything to go off of. Looks like this entire area is where the most volume is in regards to the entire range of discount. But here, like in this overall context, we have OTE midnight aligning with 70.5, and we have London low aligning with 0.79. So anywhere in this zone, what would be drawn on Adrian's chart would look something like this. He's waiting for a reversal to occur, some sort of 5-minute CSD, and then that would bring us higher into previous day high. And of course, this is only going to be invalidated if we only have bearish structure through here. So if we trade under OTE and there's bearish structure under all these levels and there's bearish structure, then we know that we're unlikely to go higher until we have that bullish CSD to confirm. Otherwise, once that occurs without that bullish CSD happening somewhere in here, then we assume previous day low is going to be taken. Okay, so this deviation delivered, again, that was Q1, nothing to do. There's OTE, there's 0.705. We are now in Q4 again. This is tough. So Q4, possibly. Happening again where we wanted to see it, 0.705 OTE, after exhausting 5 deviations. We draw our manipulation up. I'll delete this guy here. 2 deviations brings us to midnight. 4 to 4.5 brings us to PM session high. PM session low is there. Okay. So again, Q4 can't do anything. Unfortunate. We can take the trade out of any quarter, or we can take the trade in any quarter, but we're not using any framework that's not Q3. Meaning any deviations that's not stemming from Q3. Okay, so nothing actually confirming technically. So although we did have a change of state delivery bullish here, it's lacking follow through. So this can continue lower. All that we have to support higher right now is that 50% of this manipulation is holding. So approaching 9. Here's another Q3. Okay, now this is great. Q3 comes down and manipulates all of Q1, Q2 lows. Even though this right here is a Q4 manipulation, we do have a new Q3 manipulation here. And I just have to figure out, hold on. So this is the low, it's kind of wonky in here. To the high. Okay, so it's that candle. CSD. Happening there. So we have our first Q3. We did come into previous day EQ OTE. Now, I only went down to the 1 minute chart to get a better idea of what high created the low. But we are not using any other time frame charts to determine like our entry or anything else. Like this is just for clarity on what high created this low. So yeah. All right, so let me beat me. Let me draw OTE here. All right, so right here is where we can take the entry. Now remember what I said prior to this, right? So we didn't come up and break this high. We only closed this high so far. But after this CSD, there was no follow through to expand higher. But our overall daily context gives us reason to believe that this could possibly trade higher from here, right? We've maxed out the extension from I don't know, what is this? PM session high yesterday. So previous day high, we maxed out that extension. It's reasonable to expect a reversal here because of maxing that out, as well as where we're falling within the daily context. That's the only reason for taking this high. What is leaving things up to question is that we have not closed this high firmly, right? But that does give us a target from here, like a very, very low hanging fruit target. So our first entry, and we do track every single OTE level. Let me zoom in. I'm only gonna put one level on for now for the sake of saving time in case it fails. But let me draw this deviation as well. Did I already draw the deviation? I didn't. So we'd be aiming for 1.5 at the lowest. Everyone is going to use their imagination and assume that I have all the entries up, 618, 0.705, and 0.79. They're all behind this entry as well. We theoretically took all three entries for 0.5, 0.618, 0.705. I'm going to add them to the chart once I see if we get stopped out or not. But our first target is 1.5 here. And then ultimately we are looking to get into previous day high, or not. Maybe that's too far away now, but point of control is 4.5. At least to midnight. That makes sense to me. At least to midnight, and then we'll see if midnight fails or not. But all of our TPs are the half levels until they fail us. Okay, so 0.79 triggered as well. This is looking like it's gonna fail, and it does not. Okay, so 1.5 TP achieved. Let's see if it goes to 2.5. Ooh, these are deep retracements. So once 1.5 is achieved, all of our entries are BE. 2.5 achieved. Boom. Have not tagged midnight yet. Midnight is tagged. Let's see if it holds or it sends it down. And it holds. Again, all of them were BE, so the earliest entry is this 0.5 level. So we're still, all the other accounts are still holding. So 1.5 TP'd already, 2.5 TP'd. Our theoretical third and fourth accounts would be holding for 3.5 and 4.5. Until not. And here is end of day. Few more candles. Oh wow, look at that. So all accounts TP'd. So let me just go through now and clone all of this so that we have all of our entries and you guys see what I'm talking about. So 1.5 with TP there. Then, oh no, sorry, I forget that we're doing it the opposite way. So we're doing all different entries, and we just hold until they break even or they TP basically. I'm thinking in terms of Adrian's trades here. So 0.705. Where is it? Where's the third one? There it is. 0.705. Why is it? There go. Oh my goodness. And then 0.79. Also here. Alright, so now let me just clean this up a little bit. Draw all of them out. So none of them broke even because all of them, all of the BEs held, theoretically. Where's the second one? So 4.5 would be our max TP for all. That got triggered here. No, on that candle. 0.705 also got triggered on the same candle. Sorry, let me draw all of them out. Ooh, this is tricky. So all three, or all of our initial three, let me do it this way. All of our initial 3 entries got triggered on the same candle. And then last position here was the only one that got triggered on... Why is it not moving? On the following candle. For the love of God. Okay, while I'm doing this, does anyone have questions on how this came to be? Does everyone understand the context following the trade and why we took the trade? It's actually beautiful that we're not requiring SBS anymore. This is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. So from here, breaking this high, which is the high that we need to break, I'm just checking to see if there's SBS. We're not requiring it as an entry, but we are still testing for it. So we have 1, 2, 3. Does 4, 5 sweep? It does not. So no SBS. Alright, so I'll pull this back. Q3 is here. I'm going to track this now. So this is the entire chart for the entire day's context. No questions, huh? Are you guys following? Are you guys alive? Alright, so we had all 4 entries. Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you guys for letting me know I'm not talking to myself. Oops. Alright, so I want to explain, I can't multitask, so let me just get some things in here first, and then I'll explain how this is being tracked and how Adrian would trade this in real life and the differences between those. Oops, that was the wrong date. This is January 22nd. Okay. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go. Alright, so welcome Void Cimmerian. I think a lot of you guys are technically new. You guys, I mean, a few of you of course are regulars, but like half of you are regulars. But yeah, if you guys have questions, feel free to, you know, stop me. If you need me to slow down or re-explain, feel free to stop me. So what I want to say here is that we are tracking every single entry, 0.5, 0.618, 0.705, 0.79. And then we are assuming that we're taking all of these entries into 4.5 if possible, right? And we are theoretically taking profit, or what we're testing for is how many accounts are taking profit at 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, right? We're testing for this data. This is not a requirement for the trade, if that makes sense. But what is a requirement is that we're entering at these levels. How that differs from how Adrian actually trades it is he will take it at the top of this zone. So he's not necessarily requiring that we get even to 0.5. He's just going to take it up here, which is like only a 1 point difference in this example, right? But he's going to take all 4 accounts. He's going to take this single trade on 4 accounts. One account will take profit at 1.5. His second account will take profit at 2.5. His third account will take profit at 3.5. And his fourth account will hold for 4.5. And all of the accounts will break even, meaning he'll move his stop loss to his entry at the top of this zone once we have achieved 1.5, because that is the first target. So theoretically, the way that works is that if one account takes profit and we return to BE, 3 accounts lose no money. Likewise, one hits 1.5, the second hits 2.5, the remaining 2 accounts hit BE. Those 2 accounts just don't make any money. And that's how he trades it in real life. Again, we are assuming that we're taking different entries, as opposed to that. We're not like considering the factor of like different accounts necessarily, but we're saying, okay, if we opted to take the entry there, would these retracement levels lead to these deviations? Yeah, that's how he trades his model, with different accounts. If you look at his chart, I bet if I just pop into his channel here and I pull up his first chart, yeah, literally the third chart in, he shows that in his chart. So this is what his chart looks like, right? The reason he has 4 different positions is because these are 4 different accounts. And that's how he trades that in real life. And again, because he's taking all of the trades at the top of the zone. This OB right here, he took all of the entries at the OB. He's just holding it likewise, and you see all of these obviously, or actually I don't know if they hit TP or not. Oh no, he closed. He said closed after multiple candles close above the SIBI. So he lost 5 points. This is the SIBI that he's referring to right there. So once we got this 5-minute close, he just decided to save his stop loss and close all of them. And then, this chart here is what he was thinking before it happened. So he was hoping that all of them would come into the SIBI and trade lower. And then what ended up happening is they closed above the SIBI, so he opted to close the trade on all 4 accounts. Does he risk sync the trade idea across accounts? No, he takes the same trade idea across all 4. So the idea behind this is that instead of taking partials at these levels, he's going to take profit on different accounts at these levels, because when you take partials, you're not technically getting your full R that you risked up here, right? So if let's say he's like, okay, I risk 5 contracts, I take 1 off here, take a second off there, third, fourth, and the 5th he's holding for the home run, let's say. You're not getting the full return because you risked all 5 contracts for this up here, right? So instead of that, he gets the full return on any of the accounts that hit TP, and he simply breaks even on the account that doesn't. So you have to understand his psychology here, or his personality. He's disciplined enough that he can change all the other accounts to BE, and he's okay with going break even on those accounts, or even all the accounts, or after 1.5 is achieved, you know, because that's what he's okay with. You may not be okay with that, and you have to realize that for yourself. Is that, like, are you okay with seeing 4 accounts go to 1.5, only one of them took TP, and now the rest of them go to BE? Will that send you on tilt, or will that not? Right? So that's how you determine if a model is tradable for you, right? But yeah, that's how he trades it. And that's why his chart looks like this, as opposed to the example that I just showed you. We're looking like that because I actually wanted, the whole point of this backtest is I want to test the OTE levels, because we all, Adrian, Frieden, and I all have the theory that 0.79 is the best entry to take. That we actually shouldn't take entries at here, here, and here. We should actually just wait for this, based on so many trades that we've all shared with one another. And that's kind of my reasoning for testing it like this. And then again, we are testing to see what TP technically hits the most. We know from data that 2 to 2.5 is going to be achieved 80% of the time, based on the data that Adrian has already shared with us as a Discord and with myself individually multiple times. Which is why I opted to particularly test Q3 manipulations. So we want to see Q3 is likely to probable to deliver the manipulation about 50% of the time across all sessions, with the exception of Asia. And then 2 to 2.5 is likely to deliver 80% of the time, no matter where that manipulation is occurring from. So I've singled it down to Q3 manipulations. And we are aiming for the full 4.5, but we are testing to see, you know, if that Q3 manipulation is the one we're using, what deviation is going to deliver. All right, that was super long-winded. I'm gonna go ahead and proceed to track this now. So again, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask while I do this. This is kind of now just all me clicking away. I need to drop a marker in here. Oh wait, sorry, I need to zoom back out. So one thing you guys should also realize with what we've just gone through is that we went through a full day of not taking a trade, right? And that's another thing that, like, if you're going to trade this specific model that we're backtesting, in which you're only waiting for Q3 manipulations, you have to ask yourself genuinely, are you okay with not taking a trade for a full day? Does that work for you or not? And that applies to any single model that you're trading. This is all the wrong date. This is a Thursday. Oops, that was right. So anytime you're going through any single model, you have to ask yourself, would that make you tilt or not? Does this apply to you or not? Thursday. This is the tedious part of backtesting, so, you know, again, you guys are kind of just watching me click through this here, so I apologize. This part is pretty boring for you all. 9:55, all within a macro. Beautiful, beautiful, absolute chef's kiss, this trade. Hold on. And we close this trade all at 15:55. Isn't that interesting? All also within a macro. Don't be shy, guys. Feel free to talk to me. I hate when it does this. It's not, okay, let me go track the rest for a second. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's 6 hours that we held the trade, so 360 minutes. This is the 10 to 4, as well as the 4 to 6. Technically, I'll just leave it at that. The quarter of entry was Q3. Oh great, Q3 is starting to do its job. I think it was Q3 for all of them. Okay, and the PD array that we entered on. Okay, so this is what I've been failing to do, kind of. So 0.5 lands within this inversion. 0.618 would be this OB, and then 0.705, 0.79 are all rejection blocks, or both are rejection blocks. So inversion, OB, rejection block. Oh, I do have it, a rejection block. That's rare. 0.5, 0.618, 0.705, 0.79, and I believe neither of this was SBS. So I don't think I have a no SBS. Because we haven't been testing without SBS up until this point. Let me just double check that. Is there no SBS there? No. We closed this high, but we didn't close that high. Yeah, there's no SBS there. So this is also NA. Let me go back here now. Yes, it's here. Driving and listening. Thank you, E. Thank you for letting me know. You're always here anyway, so thank you. Hitting BE a lot does make me tilt or overtrade. Yeah, exactly. So you have to know that about yourself. And then, I mean, you also have to consider that, let's say you were holding this trade for like an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours, right? Would that, at that point, especially after holding it for so long and hitting BE, would that make you go crazy? So then, you know, like that's how you adjust your trade management for yourself, right? It's like, okay, I've held it for an hour, I at least want to get paid X amount for my hour. Then you can trail your stop to that. I've held it for 2 hours, I want to get paid X amount for 2 hours, I'll at least trail my stop to that. And then you have to be okay with that. Like, okay, the next step is, okay, I trailed my stop to here, and trailing my stop to here ticked me out of the trade and ended up being a complete home run. Am I okay with paying myself for the hours instead of allowing it the breathing room to expand, or whatever the case? And this is why, like, fighting your demons is something that happens every day. Every time you achieve a new level of success, or you've conquered some other demon, you now have to relearn what makes you tilt with this in consideration, if that makes sense, right? Because, like, for example, now I can hold trades no problem. When I first started trading, I couldn't hold trades. Now I can hold trades no problem, but now I'm holding this trade for 8 hours. Am I going to be okay if this completely comes back to BE? Am I okay with breaking even after an 8-hour trade? Things like that. Or now that I can hold for 8 hours, am I okay with holding for 8 hours for it to just expand 80 more points? Or does it need to be like 200 more points? And you don't know where you're at with these things until you get to that level and you can experience that hardship, essentially. 10:05. Sorry, hold on, guys. Let me just get a little bit more in here. So bad at multitasking, so I apologize. Okay, The stats are great in Notion. We usually get 0.618 and 1.5 is the best exit, which will give good RR as well. Yeah. I don't know. We are actually tracking which deviation leads to, or what retracement level leads to what deviation. Just at a glance here, 0.618 to 1.5 is valid. But I don't know what the average RR is for that. I know if you take 0.618 to 1, I think that's normally a 2.4R, if I'm not mistaken. So for example, real quick guys, sorry for the tangent. We take OTE. Sorry, let me draw so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. We'll pretend something exists here. Right, we take OTE of this leg. And we'll just make this the same leg. We close this high, and you now have a range for OTE. And then you're aiming... Oh no, I'm sorry. Sorry. My brain is not working. Say this is the high that we're aiming for, right? This is our TP, this is our target. So let's say, I don't know, we fell that high, barely fell that high, and then we're retracing to go into that. Generally speaking, your position from 0.618 up to that high is like 2R, 2.4R or something. Oh, it's 1.78. I don't know what I'm thinking about. There's a specific, like, oh sorry, it's 0.27 past this. It's it's, if you guys know the typical like OTE fib levels, 0.27 after 1 is the first TP, and then 0.618 blah blah blah. So if you aim for like 0.25, which, you know, just eyeballing here, yeah, there we go. Let me just put it on here. This one, yeah. So if we put this one here, see 2.4. So it usually 0.618 to, you know, a little bit past your target is always going to be around 2R. I think your regular target, which I just obviously proved, was 1.8, so almost 2R. But I guess like the sweet spot would be somewhere in there. I'm a 2R trader myself, so I pretty much always aim for 2R, unless I think that 4 deviations is like high probability to deliver. Okay, sorry. Let me track this trade, guys. Again, so bad at multitasking. The exit for all of these was 1555. And all of these were 360 except the last 350. All 10 to 1400. And notice that this is really a chef's kiss trade, because notice the manipulation is literally happening in the macro that's opening the 4-hour candle. Sorry, this one here. This is where the entry is happening, but this CSD that happened here, this is literally happening at 9:30. So 9:30 reversal, 10 a.m. continuation. We technically have a London reversal here, and then you have a 9:30 continuation, 10 a.m. continuation. And it's all happening at EQ and OTE a previous day. All right, sorry, let me get a hold of myself. So all the entries occurred in 9:50 to 10:10. Super tedious. Wrong one. They all were in the money. We're up to 81%. We hit all deviations. All right, and so now let me track every single one. Alright, so first one, 0.5 to 4.5. This is 4.76 R. And 0.5 led to 1.5. Well, no. 2.5 and deep retracement. None of them broke the lows. I'm gonna do 1.5 for this one. Like a straight shot without any deep retracements. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that route. Okay. 4.76. 0.5 to 1.5. And I forgot to take a screenshot. One thing I also want to note here is that once 2 p.m. closes, right? 10 a.m. obviously closed bullish here, where we opened up 10 a.m. candle here. We closed 10 a.m. candle here, right? We've closed above the previous 4-hour candle. So imagine you have this 4-hour candle closing in the range. We sweep the low and close higher. I don't think we closed, so technically this is a down close candle still, right? But we swept the low and we close with like a decent sized wick. Then this candle opens and it sweeps the wick and close higher than it's open. So we have like barely a bullish candle, but it actually wicked both sides. Sorry, it wicked the wick and then wicked the high, but it ends up closing like body high. So this is likely a just an up close candle, but the bodies are matching. So then here, oh, it's a little bit lower than this one actually. Then here we open and we firmly close bullish into 2 p.m. So when 2 p.m. opens, we are 100% expecting that this 4-hour candle is going to be an open high-low close. So that's how you know to continue holding as the next candle opens. Whenever you're expecting an open low-high close, you are expecting a deep retracement. And this is when you need to be deciding, do I want to hold through this deep retracement or do I want to TP and possibly add on? And that's how you kind of approach like all your 4-hour candles and whatnot. Okay, hold on. I think I got all of that. Let me see what this one looks like. Okay, 2:30 a.m. That's where I was. All right. Now, oh shoot, wrong chart. Wait a second. Oh no, I closed it. Dude, I hope that's saved. Oh man, I hope that's saved. Thank God. Would have been so blown. Replay 2-4. $2.30. And 0.618 next. This is a 6.58 R trade. This is the same thing. We delivered straight to 1.5. And then the next one, $8.66 R trade. Again, same thing, we delivered straight to 1.5 without any deep retracements. Oops. And the next one, $13.21 R trade. Okay. The only note I really have is what I said about the London reversal. $9.30 distribution, or sorry, $9.30 continuation. $10 a.m. distribution. Alright guys, I'm gonna take a quick break here to grab a drink of water. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. I did drop the link in the chat earlier, so you guys can see all of this on your own charts. I will be right back. Thank you, thank you. Alright, so where I am in my own development with trading this type of model, because I do trade a 5-minute manipulation basically, or 5-minute CSD, I'm genuinely okay with taking like one of these trades per week. Now, this particular week, I've had the honor of taking multiple 2-hour trades in a day, which is very, very rare because I don't normally trade PM session. But because I'm back from vacation, I decided to like more or less overtrade, just, you know, calling it what it is. So I have been trading in the morning alone and then returning in the PM session, like after I get some things done. And if the setup was there, I took it. So generally though, or like, you know, when I normally have like all of my funded accounts kind of taking the same trade more or less, or one account is taking like a continuation of another of the initial trade idea. So I'll TP each account at 2R, right? But because the trade is obviously going way further than 2R most of the time, with, you know, with the way the market has been expanding lately, then when I'm taking TP with another account, I'm generally looking for the next entry for the next account. But it's all the same trade idea stemming from the same 5-minute manipulation or CSD. So like this model is very, very good for someone who wants to trade less or someone that wants to trade higher time frame. But this type of trader has to be okay with possibly breaking even after holding the trade for X amount of hours. And you have to know for sure if this sort of thing makes you tilt. This is also really good for someone who may have like another job, or they can only trade like a few times per week. This is really a good model for that. What's unpredictable in this specific backtest is when we're going to get that Q3 manipulation, which we're seeing. Like this stretch right here from January 17th to January 23rd, albeit there's a weekend in between, this is a 6-day stretch of not taking any trades. Can a normal human being handle that? The next stretch before that was January 10th to January 15th. Can you handle a stretch of 5 days with taking no trades? Right? I 100% can. Like that's if I don't have a trade, I'm not taking it. Great, fantastic. But it takes a buffer for most people, I'd say, especially if most of your income is depending on trading. Then it takes a decent buffer for you to be able to accept that, or you have at least to have paid your bills that month for you to be able to accept that, right? Because let's say you got your payout in January 6th and then you paid your bills for the month. Not taking a trade from January 10th to January 15th probably sounds all good, because great, you're there. You're there, you took the trade, or you watched the charts, nothing happened, you left. That's another aspect of it, or another facet of, can you be okay with it? Can you be okay with sitting there and not getting paid for your time, just watching the charts? All right, so we finished this day here. We finally got a rep in after going through all of that data. We went through at least 5 days without taking any trades. No, we went through 3 days without taking any trades. So now we move into the next day, and we have our previous day high and low marked out. We have OTE marked out in the direction of our expansion. We will now draw our fixed range volume profile in the direction of our expansion. I don't think that this matters. Let me draw it the other direction and see what happens. Did that change? Hold on. Wrong one. No, that did not change. That's exactly the same. Okay, so it doesn't matter what direction you draw it in. Let's jump up to our 1 hour and see if we have any PD arrays in here. Any obvious ones. Alright, so we like inversions and BPRs 100%. We're going to draw these out. And we're going to consider all of them because price appears to be expanding. So although I'm going to draw everything in OTE, I will go back and draw the one that's in premium as well, just because it lands with 25% of the previous day's range. We'll get an idea of what happens there. And we're only marking out fair value gaps because they're obvious for everyone to see. Go back to the 5. Alright, all of this LR here. We don't really have anything to go off of. We still have this one from the day before that we haven't returned to. This zone. That was a Q4. And we have the Q3 that we took the trade out of, which was this one. Now obviously this deviation has already been exhausted, but again, it's just a framework that we're working within. so far, and then this zone we returned to here and expanded away. I don't think we would return to it, but we'll see. So we're now below 25% of previous day. We would want to get to PM session. If you've seen One Setup for Life by ICT, this is generally your first target going into Asia and London most days. Asia is generally going to consolidate, but if it starts expanding, it's more than likely going to attack PM session high or low. If Asia consolidates and London expands, then your first target is generally PM session high or low. So we've already taken PM session high here. We've closed this BISI, and we now are trading lower. So from here, PM session low is where I would want to see some sort of reversal and CSD to go higher, basically. That is so far all the context that we have. The only manipulation zones that we have been fully exhausted. This one here and this one here. So we're kind of in no man's land. Here's Asia open. And do we close it? Doesn't look like it. We're starting to have people drop like flies. I think we're into Friday anyway, so we'll finish up Friday's price action and then we'll call it a session. Okay, guys? All right, so we ran liquidity, came up and took the high. Thanks, guys. So this 1 hour BISI is holding. Came up and took the high. Created equal highs here. That's irritating. And we have this CSD, which is also a Q3 CSD. That's fun. Now let's see if these are all exactly equal. Yeah, that's unfortunate. They're all exactly equal. Oops. Let me check the lows. This is the lower low. This is a Q3. So I'm gonna argue here that probably none of us would take this trade or like even consider this with equal highs. Oh, we can anyway. They already extended to 1.5. But probably none of us would even take this considering that these are all three equal highs here. But one of the rules in the trade, one of the rules in the model is that once we've expanded towards 1.5 deviations before returning to the zone, the trade idea is invalidated. Because that's our first target. Alright, so we return to 50% of this 1 hour BISI. We're back to 25% of previous day's high after taking the high already. We now have midnight right below 25% of previous day's high. Asia did technically expand. Or did it? Where's Asia low? Asia low is here. Why isn't there a line there? Am I hallucinating? No, there's no line there. Okay. So Asia was 50 points. Okay, no, that's a typical Asia, but it did expand. Oh, there we go. Sorry, Asia low is right here. I'm blind. So we came down. Okay, yeah, so it was 100 points. That is a fairly large Asia, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have it on here. Okay. 65 points. Yeah, so that's a large Asia. This is reading back 10,000 candles on this chart. So 65 points in a typical Asia. Asia basically expanded, being that it expanded almost 100. We'll double check my math there. 80. So a little bit over. Not quite 100. All right, London takes Asia low. We like to see it. All right, we have a bullish CSD happening here. Not exactly how low we wanted to go, right? But we do have the CSD happening under midnight. We've opened, we've accumulated price, we've traded lower, we've manipulated the Asia low, we've traded higher above midnight with that CSD landing right at midnight. We've also closed now 25% of previous day's high. In expansion, 25% of previous day high is really all we're going to aim for. We also happen to have a 1 hour BISI here, right? We've come into this BISI and we've taken lows multiple times. 1, 2, 3. So we've taken lows multiple times. There's likely SMT within these lows somewhere. And we can now have this deviation. We'll see if this brings us back into Asia high or if we continue to expand, although we've already exhausted this deviation as well. So see, we're looking for opportunity or changes in state of delivery to happen when we've met appropriate deviations. Let me draw out the zone. This is also another Q3. Now this here, this is a conundrum for me. This to me appears to be a tap of the zone, right? I think Adrian would take this trade. Now, another thing is that we are retracing into midnight, retesting midnight. JD would also take this trade. I personally would not take this trade. But I think with 2 mods to 1, I may... Oh, wait, you know what? Because it's not in discount. I can tell by eyeball it's not in discount. This is part of the rules. See, it's not in discount. Okay, we're not going to take the trade. The rules plus 1 mod versus 2 mods. So the model itself is that it has to be in discount. So, but Adrian would 100% take this at top of the zone. It's clean. You have a 5-minute CSD right at Asia low. And I'm just going to show you guys really quick. Oh, shoot. That is 100% my model. So I'm looking for a 5-minute 2022 after a liquidity purge at session low, daily low, weekly, monthly, higher low. So this is literally the model that I trade. Once this occurs, I can pretty much take any entry after that. But per the model here, we do have premium and discount as part of the entry. Okay, so we have a new high here without EQ being retraced into. Okay, there we go. So now looking super risky. Doesn't look like it's going to deliver higher, but nonetheless, we don't form fit here. We will go ahead and... yeah, we've exhausted this one. We have a proper change in state of delivery here. We have displacement within this expansion out. So I'm going to place the first entry here. We did close this high. We just failed to close this one. So again, use your imagination and pretend that we have all entries in. This would be the first. We would be aiming for 1.5. Overall context is bullish. based on previous day. We do want to get into EQ and OTE, but provided that, you know, we have this occurring, who knows? Great. So beautiful, all of our entries are in profit now. And 1.5 is looking like it's going to deliver. And we're not BE on any of them yet. And it continues to hold. We're not hitting BE until we hit 1.5. Ooh, this is nasty. Nasty work. Alright, so, okay, no. We do have this coming down, right before the next 4-hour candle. But this is Q4. Q4 is holding Q3 so far. But this would theoretically be our next 5-minute CSD to hold for the next 4-hour candle. So although it's not a new manipulation, it does provide context for where it should deliver to, adding confluence to this previous deviation. 1.5 achieved. So again, just pretend that the entries are all there. Our ultimate target is 4.5, but a daily draw, a good daily draw is always going to be previous day high. So most of us ICT traders would probably TP there. Yeah, 100%. Every single hour, every single 4-hour, or even if you trade like smaller time frames, every single 15-minute, every single whatever, whenever you have your confirmed accumulation, manipulation lower, proper CSD in the direction that you want, this is the opportunity to add on or to average up. So like I said in this previous day, right? Once you have this 4-hour candle close bullish for you, and you know that the next candle is going to be your open low high close, once you have your open and you create that low in a proper place that you like for your lows to form, that's 100% where you can AUP. I would say the safer bet would be to be like, for like a new entry to form altogether. Like if you were taking this trade individually and it's not attached to the income that you already made, where would you take your new entry? This is more than likely where I would take my new entry, within this BPR. And so then I would then treat that quote unquote new trade as my AUP, and I would add on to my position right in there. So you can wait to be on the super safe side and wait for price to like confirm or CSD, right? Change in state delivery in the direction that you want it to go before you add on. Or you can like just try to catch falling knives. I don't recommend that, but you know, you can wait until like this occurs where you have price manipulate low, it's taking out some form of liquidity, you have fair value going down and fair value going right back up, your whatever level is holding, your fair value gaps are holding, and then you add on. That to me is the safest way to average up. All right, so then now, so every CSD basically you can theoretically average up. So now we have reached 2 deviations on this guy, 1.5 deviations here. We can expect that another accumulation is going to occur here. I believe this day we do have news. Wait a second. What day is this? Friday. So Friday 9:45 we have news, so not 8:30. Okay, so again, all of these accounts are BE now. And so again, accumulation, manipulation down, expansion up. So once you close this here, or you didn't actually quite close it there, but once you close this here, I guess, let's say, even though that's way up there, this would be a good spot to add for AUP. But if you're super nice with it, you can do this. And how I would decide to add there on this candle instead of after this down close candle is you can kind of front run that this is going to be an order block, right? You can guess that this is going to be an order block. you draw out your mean threshold. Mean threshold is closed above, and this retap of mean threshold, you can AUP. So all of our break evens are holding so far. 2.5 deviations achieved, 3.5 deviations achieved. We are now at past 9:45 news. And B on whatever was left. Okay, so 3.5 achieved. Let me bring this down. Wow, to the tick. Wow. Oh no, not to the tick. We missed 3.5. Or not. Oh, it's in the middle. How do I even... What do I do? That's tough. That's super, super tough. Let me see what the price lands at. $50. This is 25. Okay, we don't get it. No form fitting here. So we'll do 2.5. I'm assuming the tick above. Should have kept the prices on. Yeah, okay, tick above. Alright, so we're at 10 a.m. here. Let me add all the other boxes really quick. I know this is super, super tedious. I apologize. Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask now while I'm just kind of clicking. This is 0.618 on the same candle. This will also go to 57.75. This is there. .75 and 0.709 all on the same candle. Okay. So we came up, London took Asia low, right? And then New York delivered into Asia high. I would say, logically speaking, more of us would have taken profit at previous day high and then Asia high at like a minimum. I think more of us in the server are scalpers than we are holders. So I think probably me and Cozy would be the only ones holding past this. But other than that, I think everyone, logically speaking, would have taken profit at a normal area like here. Again, with yeah, with people like Adrian, or the way Adrian trades it is that he just would have had one account, you know, TP properly here and here, and that would have been the end of that. Okay, so let me get the data in the screenshots here. We have probably one more attempt if we can get another Q3. And then we're done for the session, guys. So thank you for sticking around. Let me actually put in a marker. This happened at 2:50. I just do this for the date so that when we just bring up the charts, we know what date it is. Friday, January 24th. So we got all 4 entries again. That was all long. And well, let me put the chart in before I forget. The entries occurred at 350 and 355, again in the macro. 350. Don't have a 350 yet. And both of these were at 355. And the exit on all 945. This takes so long to show up. Oh, there it is. Alright, so now math. 6 hours again. 365. No, 355. $355 and $350. This would be the 2 to 6 a.m. candle, mostly. Yeah. And we entered all of these trades. In Q3. Wow, Q3 is really stepping up. Oops. Alright, now OB, 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 rejection block. Yep. Yeah, okay. Is this SBS? Closed 1, 2. Yeah, it's all 2. Oh, there's no 4, 5 though. So 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yeah. All SBS 2. And this did not occur because we did not get a 4 or 5. No. And again, 350 to 410. Alright, so all TP'd, or all made money before breaking even, and we got to 2.5. Just missing 3.5 by 1 tick. Alright, so now let's take a look at where it expanded to. So 0.5, 0.618 directly to 1.5. The others did not quite do that. Alright. And now we can start taking trades, or start taking individual charts. Let me just zoom out to 1 hour. Let's see. So this one here is 3.71R. Does everyone understand why I adjusted the TP to 2.5 instead of... Oh, wait a second. We're using this deviation. Damn it, I have to go back and track everything. Hold on a second. Oh, I used the wrong one. Okay, hold on, guys. Hold on. Pause. We're trading from this deviation here, because that's where we took our entry from. Okay, hold on. Okay, 76.25. Thank God I caught that. Okay, hold on. I have to do this all over again. Tough. Tough, tough, tough. Okay. We close all at 9:50. So, the reason that I'm adjusting the TP, right? Like, obviously, we're all aiming for 4.5. But the TPs are what we are testing for. That's why this can be dynamic to the setup when we're watching it, because this is the furthest TP that we would have taken before breaking even. It's basically, so instead of doing it the way that Adrian is doing it, because we're not theoretically trading this live, right? Or that we're not trading different accounts, we're trading different entries. So we're testing for this information. It's not a requirement. That's why this can be dynamic and it's not form-fitting, if that's confusing anyone. Okay, so 950 on all of them is what I need to change. And okay, this is a new one. And I have to change the times. 6 hour hold. Again, I don't know any of you that would hold for 6 hours, but I definitely would. That would be 355. Yeah, Cozy would, 100%. Cozy and I trade very, very similar, except for the fact that she loves her tight stops, and I do not care for tight stops. If I could make my stops tighter, obviously I would, but I don't care. Being stopped out multiple times is actually what makes me tilt. So I would rather give it the breathing room so that I don't get stopped out. Because, you know, what's a 30-point stop for a 100-point return? What's you know, like, that to me is okay. As long as I'm getting my 2R, I'm fine with that. Alright, then I have to redo all these charts, because I need to get it to the right deviation. Delete. Oh, no. Okay, hold on. There we go. Delete. Yeah, exactly. See, and that takes such a long time to figure out what kind of stop loss works for you, in my opinion. Some people, they kind of just, they dive right into it, right? Like they started with like really really low stops, small stops, so that makes perfect sense to them. My stops actually originally started in like the 50 to 100 point range, because my very first model was, look at where midnight is, look at where Asia low is, right? If Asia low is an intermediate term low, place an entry at intermediate term low and place a stop loss at where I think the most probable low would be. So in this instance, for example, this would be my low, like PM session low. So entry there, stop loss PM session low. That's like 60 points. And then from there, I would wake up and then like I would either hit TP at previous day high, or I would be stop loss at PM session low. And that's that model is a direct ICT model. So that was the first model that I traded. So like I'm used to big. I started with big stops. Some people just automatically start with like 10-point stops and blah blah blah. I think also what people don't realize, or what they don't necessarily account for, is that as the price of NQ gets higher, the percentage of ranges gets bigger. So as a result of the percentage of ranges getting bigger, the stop loss is likely to get bigger, or the points of the range are likely to get bigger. So like I have a friend, for example, or I know a trader who I've been trying to help considerably. He just loves using these like minuscule stops, and he'll get stopped out like 15 times in a 15-minute period because he trades the seconds chart. And this stopping out makes him tilt like crazy, but he just refuses to see it. So I like had to talk to him about this like 10-point stop that he insists on having. But in his mind, although he tracks all the data and he can see that the ranges are getting bigger, and from the year that we started trading in 2021 till now, with NQ being like, I don't know, 13,000 back then, and now it's at 21,000, he just is completely okay with getting stopped out twice as much, even though the ranges are obviously bigger. This is the engineering friend. That's hilarious. This is the engineering friend. This is the guy that tracks all the data in the world, and just he insists that he's going to crack the code because he tracks every single fluctuation in the market. But I just don't understand. If you can see the ranges are getting bigger, I'm actually going to share I'm going to share the data that he recently just shared with me, literally 6 days ago. And you can see in the picture that the ranges are getting bigger. Yet, does he want to make his stop bigger? Not at all. Not at all. Bless his heart. But these are the things where you don't know until you know. You can't accept anyone else's answer. You can't accept anyone else's criticism. You have to burn your hand enough yourself that you want to do this. Any notes on this? Do I have any notes on this? My notes would be confluence of one hour busy, 25% previous day range, and midnight, all same level or area. Yeah, exactly. And because, well, you not necessarily that you have to risk less in the, I know what you mean, but you just risk less contracts to equal the same amount of money that you would risk. Like, so for example, like, this is recorded, so I might be saying too much here for like my safety. Oh, I forgot to track the RR. Hold on. No, hold that thought. 12.48. I don't like to say anything public for prop firms to stop me from what I'm doing. Not that like I'm a big fish, but you never know. 872. And 646. Wait, 646 and 4.73. All massive R's. These are all massive R's. Okay. So I like to bring account into. Let me mute my mic on the recording. Great, thank you. I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys like that. Okay, so now let's see if we can get another trade. We will see if another Q3 presents itself. Do we have another Q3 here? It closes there. No, this is... Oh, wait, that might be. That might be. Yeah, I mean, it depends on what eval size you're trading, right? But I always trade a 50k personally. Exactly, 100%. Exactly. Thank you so much for hearing me on that. That's exactly it. So Q3, we close it here, but we make a new low. This is kind of so when I'm looking at this, right, although we close this low on this candle, we don't close the low that was created before this candle close. So to me, we don't have a solid close below here yet, but we'll take it, or we'll play with it and see what happens. We'll see if anything even presents before we say no, we're not going to take it. Yeah, please do, because and that really starts to like let you know, or really drives home the fact that like if you don't, it really drives home the fact that if you don't trust the model or not. This really like opens it up and lays it out on the table. Like, am I trading something that I feel I have to adjust my risk according to my mood, or do I trust this model enough that I can place the same amount of money on it every single day? Because if you don't, if you can't, and you don't feel like you can trade this model confidently every single day with the same amount of risk, regardless of how you feel, this means that you don't trust the model, you don't trust yourself, or you haven't tested it enough in some form or fashion. Okay, 500 on the 50k means you're risking 20% of the account because it's a $2,000 drawdown. Yeah, so I think that's solid. 20%? No, 25%. 25% of the account. So that means that you're either going to make the you're gonna risk the 500 and make 1,000, or whatever your RR is, but you're going to risk a quarter of it to make, you know, let's say you're 1-to-1, you're going to risk a quarter to make a quarter, so you need to make 4 trades in order for you to get to non-trailing drawdown. So that's solid. I think I also risk 25% of the account, generally speaking. If I'm tight for cash, I risk 10% of the account, meaning I don't want to activate another account, or I don't have any extra funded accounts, then I'll go ahead and I'll risk 10% of the account instead of 25. But you know, you just have to know that this account dies in 4 trades if I F around and find out. Alright, so not a super solid close here for this guy, but we will see. I think 25% is good, personally. You know, obviously I'm biased because it's already the approach I take, but I would argue that there's a lot of traders even risking like half the account initially. Alright, so OTE comes down even lower. So we don't flip this Q3 here. So now this is looking like we're just driving into this liquidity. If we see a close above this high, then we have change in state of delivery higher. So we took out AM session low, we've taken out London, and we're kind of just driving into the lows, unsuccessfully closing below them. So now if we close the high, this would be, again, context of the day is bullish, right? So we've opened midnight, traded below it very briefly, then traded higher, taking out the highs, and now we've come back into midnight, barely sweeping out the low that was created, sweeping midnight previously, and now we're trading higher again. So again, close above the high here would equal bullish state of delivery, which we are a fan of, being that this 1 hour is still holding. Again, with context being bullish, this is more or less seek and destroy here, what we're looking at. Alright, so bullish CSD is now in play. We can remove this guy. So this is exactly how we trade it live, where we think it's the CSD until it's not, right? We just watch it, see, we say, okay, we've traded into Q3, we swept it, we traded back above Q3, we've created a new CSD, which we can't trade from because this is a Q4 now. We could have traded this one if this held, or it might even still hold, and I could be wrong about this one. We're sweeping 50% now. Let me make sure that's on. Yeah, so I could be wrong. This could actually be the CSD that is occurring, and we could trade lower. But just based on the narrative of us driving lower into it like this, sweeping the low and immediately trading back up, I would think that we're going to deliver higher again. But again, we can't take this trade because it's Q4. Okay, so I ended up being wrong. This did not hold this low. So 50% delivered, 0.618 was never reached. I'm gonna let it all continue. Okay, so this is the trade that I actually need to track. I just missed it live execution for you guys, but this would be the one there, and 1.5 would be the delivery that we're looking for. Hey Chef Trades, how's it going? I don't know that I've ever interacted with you, but welcome. Okay, so yeah, I was just wrong there. We swept previous day high. This is a Friday too, so we swept previous day high, and we're now about to sweep previous day low. I was wrong about this bullish change of state delivery here. That's me being a bad trader. That's not the model failing. Again, we wouldn't have taken that anyway because that was Q4. We would have taken this one because this is Q3. So I want to clarify that this is not form fitting because it was me that was wrong. It wasn't the model that was wrong. And previous day low is probably where all of us would have closed. Let's see. Oh, and this was the 10-minute. I mean, this was the 10 o'clock open. Delivering to 2 p.m. here. Okay, let's see where this keeps going. Again, we'll pretend that all the positions are up. We're all break even now because we're past 1.5. So we'll just let this continue to play out. Okay, trades higher for Q3, consolidating through Q2. Q1 came down. We want to see a bearish CSD for continuation here. Okay, it didn't. It just ended the day. Okay, hold on a second. Let me replay this back. Nice, chef trades. Yeah, we backtest every Saturday. I don't think you were here before I went on vacation, so you're new to me. But if you're actually not new to Kingline, I apologize for not knowing you. But you know, welcome. We backtest every single Saturday, and we've been backtesting this particular model since April. All right, so this is where I should have taken the trade. I was wrong. 50% here when we traded up. This to me just seemed very lethargic into how it was trading down. So I thought that this was the correct CSD logically, so I would have gotten slapped there personally. No problem, Daman, have a good one. We're about to close this up anyway. I'm just gonna track this last one and call it. And the trade that I should have actually taken here is there. So although we're reading this in replay so that we can train ourselves to see the model, we do track the data for what it is. Okay, so this is the Q3 trade. This is the Q3 framework for the 10 a.m. candle. And this is the one that we should have actually taken. I'm just a bad trader. So 50% would have been tagged here. This is the only trade that we would have taken. 618 wasn't triggered, and the rest of it wasn't triggered as well. The key here that I should have known for myself, which I didn't, is that we swept Q3 and flipped it, or we liquidated it, flipped it, and then we came down here and liquidated this one. We didn't close below it. This is what actually we closed firmly above this one, and we closed above it, and we closed below it. I've mentioned this before, but the best market structure shifts come when we close the high, when you close the opposing high or low. Yeah, I've mentioned that before. I don't want to go too far in that tangent, but if you have a market structure shift bearish, you would have ideally closed the high completely and then shifted below the low that closed that high. Opposite for the opposite direction. You can backtest that. All right, so now we are here. We basically exactly caught the 10 a.m. expansion completely because we closed the trade at 13:55. So we are entering 11:40, but you could have entered at 11:50 as well. That would have been the macro trade. Okay, so for context, let me copy this link. This is going to be easy because it's just one trade, thankfully. Thanks for everyone that stuck around for the entire session. I appreciate it very much. This is Friday. We were short. The entry was at 11:40, like I mentioned. You could have had a macro trade there as well. My pleasure. And we would have exited this at 13:55. Always a pleasure. Just make sure you guys journal, for yourselves, because you can actually learn this from your own experiences. Everything that I've told you is obviously from my own experiences, and you're more than likely to have the same experiences as me. So 120 minutes in 2 hours, right? Minus 15, so 105 minutes. This would have been 10 a.m. to 2. We entered this trade at what time? in, let's see, 10:30 to 12. So Q4. And OB. Yeah. 0.5 was this SBS. This would have been 4 actually. With 5 sweeping 4. And we did not enter in a macro, although it could have been 1150. We did hit the money. We got to 1.5, and the RR was 267. And the last one, 0.5, delivered directly to 1.5. Alright, so here's the context chart. And then here's just a close-up of the trade with a marker. Let me make sure this is the right chart. Yep, it is. I don't have a marker on this one. Oh, I do. This one here in the wrong place. Alright, and the note that I have for this one is nothing really, just that this is a rare Friday reversal. Okay guys, that's it. Any questions? Anything that you guys want to see or know about the model, about me, about anything, about Kingline? Any questions at all? Open floor. And if no questions, class adjourned.